I'm seeing people on my end.
Okay. Okay. So I think we
Probably
have
on.
our own rooms, but we're just joint screened. And then
Okay.
yeah, that's it. And then so people will join in however they join in, and now we chat.
Yay. Okay, good. Hopefully, the replay is on both of our ends because I want to put it on YouTube and Spotify.
Okay.
So I didn't want you to do any extra legwork, but if needed to, because I'm just barely getting back to this, I'll email you and see if you have it on your end. But hopefully it's here too on my end.
Okay.
Yay. Okay. Oh my God, I'm excited. How are you today?
Healthy, alive, well, and peaceful. Uh, I actually was just saying to someone earlier on the live today that I don't like saying, "How are you?" And I'm not the best at greetings. I was saying that, like, I'm normally used to just engagement and it just happening. And so when people greet, I'm normally like awkward because I'm like, what do I say next? Because if I say, "How are you?" it's going to be so inauthentic because I don't care to ask that question. Like, that wouldn't be the question. I'm already feeling you. So it's like, why would I ask things that we
I
already
like your
did, you
choice of
know?
words. I like your choice
Ah!
of words. You said healthy. I like your choice of words. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to start because I'm going to be doing a replay. So I
Hmm.
wanted to just start by welcoming you in and saying thank you for coming on to the Social Progress podcast.
Okay.
Um I guess we could just like kind of do an intro just really quick. I wanted to do like a question and answer thing. So I
Hmm.
know we talked about your traveling.
Hmm.
And then after I had a really like taboo, not everybody talks about a question. So maybe we could just kind of sew it in and see how it flows in.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. All right, everybody. So for anybody watching in the replay, what's going on? Welcome to the Social Progress Podcast. Obviously, we have a co-host here too, Honeybee on her end. Um, why don't you introduce yourself? And do you go by pronouns or how are you doing this? Are we old school, millennial? Are
You
we
know what,
acknowledging
bro? Old
native?
school millennial. You show up how you show up. I see what I see, and we just sip our tea, however it is that it serves in the cup. You know, my name is Mrs. Honeybee of the Highest, shamanic high priestess, artist, author, lover of life, lover of herself, gender transcendent, existing just because I can and because I get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. Hey, Coach C.
I just want to say before we get in, I just want to say that I am really like fangirling and super excited because you are one of like the coaches and guides that the universe brought me to, that the ancestors brought me to in the beginning of my awakening.
Mhm.
So I want to also say that like I have been aware, conscious to my own understanding at a really young age, but I didn't really spiritually awaken to like how it goes in with the world and others. And also I'm still learning my confidence in that because it was very silenced early childhood, and it was very hidden. So I feel really safe and really inner child with you right now. When you chose the word, I was like, oh, I like how that flows. So when you're like awkward with introductions because it already flows, I felt when you said that because I was like already
Mhm.
excited to get speaking.
Is your connection coming
So
back on?
yeah,
Okay, I
I
see.
wanted to, I just wanted to say that how excited I'm on. The connection's good.
Yeah, it was a little choppy for like a hot moment, but I sat here breathing and I said it'll be okay. And
Cool.
it
We're good now. I love, and I also love how it's like pink and blue here. I just noticed the color.
was. Oh, yes. And it switched.
Yes. So, do you want to just talk about a little bit about like your traveling and how you were like staying in Airbnbs and going space to space? I was interested in seeing your journey because 3 years ago I was also called to travel and to take a leap of faith, and my type of travel was traveling throughout the nation, so it wasn't just like state to state. And I saw that I don't know if you were 100% funded through your content creating, but I know that the finance of it and like the stress of it and the mental health of it can sometimes get a little overwhelming. Do you want to share a little bit about like your travels and that experience? Because I know sometimes you were outside, sometimes you mostly had a place to go. So do you want to share a little bit about that? How that was for
Yeah.
you?
Oh my goodness. So this all started September 28th of 2021. First place I went to was Las Vegas. Stayed with a friend and his
Okay.
sister. And then while I was there, I want to say that's where everything began to unfold. I had already given away my New York apartment at the time that I had stayed in for a year,
I
and I
remember you
had
were like,
donated and gifted away all of my belongings.
I remember that.
And I literally said, okay, let's go travel. Let's go do the thing. And so I literally was doing it to follow my friend because he was leaving New York and I just loved him. So I was like, oh my God, friend, I'll go with you. And he was like, oh my God, for real? I was like, yeah. I was like, that way you don't have to be alone and we get to still kiki, have fun, blah, blah, blah. And I think his boyfriend was also moving to the West Coast as well, but he was going to be in like Oregon, I think. So he was like nearby. I was like, yeah, girl, we can all be together still. Cool. But we all ended up having life transformations within like the 2 to 3 weeks that we were even together, where all of us split and went into our own directions. Like his sister, she worked for an airline, he went to cruise ships, and then I went to travel like the world on foot. And so I didn't necessarily know what was going to transpire, but I knew that I was just going to follow my gut and see what happened. That is what has led me to today. And so this journey where I was outside, where I was on buses, on trains, in Airbnbs, in hotels, on friends' couches, in cousins' houses, that
Wow.
on my mom's floor, like that whole entire journey was simply me listening to my gut, me listening to my intuition, me following my inner guidance, me on a journey of self discovery, wanting to know who I am, what talents do I possess, what am I capable of, how do I care for myself alone without somebody else being my caregiver. How do I show
Mm.
up in my truth and in my authenticity? What does that even mean? How do I define that? What kind of business do I have? I wanted to know everything in and out of who I am and what I was about. I didn't know those answers off rip. I felt like they were performative when I gave them, and I wanted them to be authentic. So that's what I did with the experience of just trusting myself. Myself said, I'm going to teach you about you, and you'll catch on to what we're doing eventually. And right now, as we're having this conversation, it's clicking in. Oh, I was just on a journey of self discovery. So even me being outside, even me being on buses, on trains some days where I literally don't get an Airbnb for 2 or 3 days, that whole entire journey was for me to discover self. It was all about me learning me. And so I had to go through a plethora of experiences for me to learn me about, for me to have something about to learn me with. So, yeah. And during all that time, I still had my business. And there were some times where I would make as much as $10,000 in a month. There were some days where I would make nothing but $2,000 that month. Some days that I would make maybe like 1,000 or 300. Like it would fluctuate, it would change. But these were all tips and donations. These were events that I would host, and people would buy tickets to those sometimes. These were moments where I would just get inspiration to give an offer. Some people would take on that offer and then donate way more. um, resources were coming in from a plethora of places, but it was all funded through me existing authentically. Am I true?
I witnessed that.
Yeah,
I
and it was
witnessed that.
beautiful being able to just ask for money. Like, hey, y'all, I want to go do this today. Is there anybody who wants to pay for it? Hey, I would love to go do this. Anybody has a connection? Hey, I would love to go do this. Literally being in the energy of, I know I'm not going to go work. And I did work a couple times. I worked 3 months at Serendipity 3, which is a restaurant in New York City. And then I worked about 2 months in a psychic hotline. And then another psychic hotline hired me, and I went through the hire process, the like advisor introductory process, and then I was like, actually, I'm not gonna do it. And so those were my three different avenues of like doing actual work for someone else. Other than that, for the last 5 years, it's been just me doing it on my own. It's been me partnering also with other healers and other medicine men and women, other medicine people, other spiritualists, other practitioners. But it's been a lot of love. It's been a lot of love and a lot of transformation, a lot of story. And if you want me to answer anything specific, I'm open to throughout this entire podcast. But the journey itself of me being nomadic, I would say, was self discovery till its fullest extent, honest, true, and candid.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited because I went on my Nomad, I've been saying like my faith or grid working journey in 2023. And I am barely becoming like full circle, fully awakening to the fact like, wow, you did that. And the key words that you said, like going on buses, trains, couches, on your mom's floor. I have a little bit to ask you there as well because I feel like, can I ask you, are you in the millennial generation?
91.
Because because I'm born in 90s and I want to say right now that we are a few selective collective that literally has the awesome experience of both like traveling and doing that nomad stuff and also doing the business stuff
Mhm.
and really not having a guarantee of what's going to happen and how this is going to go down. Like, are we going to get sales today? Are we going to get bookings today? Are we
Mm,
going to have a place to stay? But we still did it though and did what we had to do. And I feel like that's such a strong spirit right there,
mhm,
to be able to do that. And there's a lot of people that I see that are on their homeless journey and they're out asking for like donations and sharing their stories. um and so I want to like mix it up with like the spirit people who identify being on like the spiritual community and others who just identify like, you know what I mean, being in the homeless shelters. Because out of my whole journey, there was only a small portion where I was in the homeless shelter and it was towards the end. But I wanted to talk about some like unpopular feedback that you got on your journey, like being a nomad and going out on your own. Where did you get any like backlash from people, friends, family? It sounds like you kind of just went on your own, so nobody's opinion probably mattered to you because you were like funding your own thing on your own, doing your own thing on your own.
yes. yes.
So nobody could say nothing.
No, there
Like
wasn't
people would say
anything.
stuff, but it
The
wouldn't
old
matter.
what I experienced was there my mother at one point said to me, I'm not gonna take care of a grown ass man. Totally understandable. In that moment, I recognized that my mother wasn't able to see specifically what I was doing and understand it. She may have understood it. She may have witnessed it. She may have heard it or saw it in her own way. And maybe she did understand it in a way in which I'm thinking she didn't because she didn't show me. But either way, in my opinion, from my perspective, my mother was the one person who I felt like really tore me away from that reality by having to step outside of myself and see what's going on. My mother is someone that I wanted to make proud. And so when my mother said those words to me, I'm not going to take care of a grown ass man, and I was actively putting on an event at the time, not knowing what the outcome would be, but actively putting on my Strawberry Moon Gathering, I said, what am I doing? Actually, I was like, what am I doing? And I said, oh, I'm taking an unbeaten path that is uncertain to the naked eye of anyone else that's not me. Of course, she can't see what I'm talking about. She's not in it. But I'm expecting her to be in it because I'm like, well, don't you see me? But bitch, just because I can see you don't mean that I have x-ray vision and know what color panties you're wearing. So I was expecting my mother to understand my inner reality without explaining to her my inner reality. Disrespectful. So I said to myself now, I say to myself now, there wasn't anyone that really went against me, not even my mother, because everyone showed up as a version of me to get me to keep going forward. There wasn't anyone that showed up that played a role that did not contribute to me moving forward. There is one particular friend along this journey who loaned me technically upwards to about like $6,060. And that's in technically fees. I paid him like $4,500 a month to stay in his Airbnb. And there were moments where I didn't have the money, I would pay him later. And everything that kind of stacked up ended up being about $6,060. Now, along that journey, that was one of my toughest moments because I still owe him the money. But in that moment, I broke down on the inside because I knew, hey, Luna, I knew I shouldn't have stayed. I stayed because I valued him and what he gave me physically. I was able to physically have an experience that felt like safety and calm. I was willing to pay whatever I had to pay to get that. And so when he asked me to stay, like, you should stay, don't leave, I stayed. So the moments that I would try to get ready to go and I would be welcome to stay, even though the money wasn't there, and I was told, we'll figure it out, we'll figure it out, we'll figure it out, I stayed. And I stayed, knowing that in my soul, I would have to pay him back this money, thinking and assuming I would get it in the avenue I was taking, but I didn't trust it. And so I knew when it was time to go, I left. And I let him know, no matter what happens in this life, if I have to give it to you on my deathbed, I'll make sure you get this money back. And I hope to pay it sooner than I think. But, I'm going to try to get it to you as much as like, that was very awkward, very weird. And that's a friend of mine that I love that I loved so much, but I don't even feel connected to her like I can connect to because of all the money ick that's in the way. And I realized that a lot of our situation was trauma bonding. And it was he needed something, I needed something, but what we had wasn't necessarily lifting us both up. It was putting us both in a hole, in a deeper hole. And so there wasn't anyone along my journey that discouraged me to do what I did. There were people who were encouraging me more than anything. And I feel like anybody who may have wanted to discourage me, they did it in a way that encouraged me to continue. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I was just thinking about workshops and webinars when you were talking, because a
Okay.
lot of people could really utilize this information. And
Mhm.
the cool thing about our experience, honey, is that we have boots on the ground lived experiences with these things. So we
Okay.
can really turn it into seminars and webinars and stuff like that. And I appreciate how you spoke about money and how it made the relationship icky, or that was the only thing that you experienced on this path and on this journey. How do you feel about that? Like, what do you feel is next for you in regards to travel or in regards to homebound? Because I'm in the same situation, and I really appreciated how you brought up your mom because my mom has been my emergency contact out here. I'm not from here. I'm from the island of Guam. So it's all the way in the Pacific in the Marianas Islands. And most of like my family and my friends are out there. I actually just came there last year. I came in October would be 1 year that I was on the island of Guam. I just came back to California.
Okay.
And I've been traveling straight up nomad on a leap. I called it my leap of faith in May of 2022. So it's been almost close to 3 years that I'm doing this. And now that I'm reflecting on this, it only made me witness how people who were in relationships and had responsibilities like rent or an apartment or a home, it showed me how some people worked well together, some people didn't work well together. It also showed me and taught me, like, hey, do you want to be a paid traveler and go around and travel for a little bit? Because I don't have any kids, I don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend. I started to like maybe float around the idea of dating, but I was like, wait, let me get me in order first, because this is just the beginning of me learning me and actually unlearning all the trauma bonding, the staying when you're supposed to leave, the saying no when instead you said yes type stuff. So I'm like,
Yeah.
let me learn me first. But spirit and my inner child is like, how are you going to learn it if you're going to keep putting yourself by yourself and not going with other people? So I'm like, I need to get out with other people. So now I'm like, do I get my own studio apartment? Do I stay traveling? Or do I start reaching out to other people and being like, hey, bitches, do we want to get like a piece of land or something and, come together with other people and maybe work together and see how that goes? But really set it down, like set some rules and set some goals. Like, if we do this together, this is a big responsibility. It has to be seen out till the end. This is what we can do, to make sure that we stay together with this, or this is what can happen if things change and we might need to pull out. So what are your ideas? What are your plans? Because I don't know if you see the collective, but I see a small collective of other people who are like us, living in hotels, living in Airbnbs, extended stays, in their vehicles, in their cars. And it seems to me, through my experience, that a lot of people our age, our generation, the millennial generation, is really like trying to figure out what the fuck to do. We don't want to rent with folk anymore, with people from the rental guy or anything. People are probably becoming realtors, or they're getting their own hotels and their own studios and renting it out to others, or they're traveling, etc., etc. So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on that, my friend Luna, she's in the comments. She said, yeah, I got to find your happiness and joy with absolutely nothing. And she said, people think happiness is about money and what you have physically, and it's not. And, I'm glad Luna mentioned this, because my opinion about all this is I think that we're already on a course and on a path that is exactly
I'm
designed
voting.
for us. And I think that we need to embrace it, honestly. I've embraced my journey. I stayed through pad split. And so, I know this isn't a paid advertisement or whatever, but my soul just says, tell the people. I would rather tell the people than gatekeep, out of a fear that pad split uses this as promotion and gets money off my throat. But at the end of the day, okay, so I live in Miami. My room is in a house in Hialeah, and it's through pad split. And so I pay for my room specifically. There's a whole house, kitchen, backyard, front yard, porch, gazebo, laundry room, bathroom. Everything is solid. I share a bathroom with two other people. There's another room that has another bathroom in it. So that room's available if I wanted to get that room and pay for a bigger room that has its own bathroom. That's an option. But I live in a house. And so I stay here for as long as I want to stay here for. My contract was originally 13 weeks. And then from there, I get the option to stay for as long as I want, but I'm happy. And I have my own little space, and it's cute and it's adorable. No guests are allowed in the house. So there's no parties, there's no functions. So I don't have to worry about outside vibrations coming into this space. But if we want to have guests, we can easily like message, the pad split. We have our own representative and stuff like that, and be like, hey, like, can I have a guest over? Can we let the rest of the people know? But I know that my energy in my home, like, it's me, and I get to naturally function in a space with other people. I love having roommates because it forces me to remember that there are other people that exist. So do stuff at an appropriate time. That means when you notice that the energy of the house is giving, you better lay low, then lay low, because that's the vibe of the home right now as a collective. When you realize that the vibe of the house is daytime and it's giving sun out, effervescent, then boom, vibe with the energy. But I feel like me having roommates, people that I don't know necessarily, but I could talk to and get to know, gives me the opportunity to be autonomous, but with a collective. We all have our own realities, but we live in the same house and we do our own things. There's roommates in here that I literally hear, but I've never seen, but I have yet to see in like the last week, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But it's okay because for me, I get to just exist. There's no weight on my shoulder. I'm already carrying a collective. So I don't really have the energy to 10 to 75 billion relationships, especially that are going to be close in proximity to my person, because then that affects me completely different than it would if there's something that's virtual or something that's distant energetically. And so, my suggestion is people embrace what it is that they have lined up. If it's living in a car and you've been living in a car, let's say, for example, in a cool minute, make your car really decked out as your space where you're like, this is where I live and I'm accepting that. I'm
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo out here in this bitch.
Okay.
If there's
Like,
somebody who lives out of
you're in the club.
Airbnbs and they have Airbnbs down packed, then do the Airbnb zhuzh. When I was in my Airbnb bag, you could not tell me that I was sleeping in a shelter. I've never stayed in a shelter before, but it's because I was either sleep outside or I would find me the Airbnb that I liked.
Right. Yeah.
Oftentimes, I would find the Airbnb that I loved and I would just be patient. There was a
I
day I was
witnessed
in
that.
Miami and I would sit outside that day, 12 hours, doing readings, got the money I needed for the Airbnb I wanted, and I had 2 days at that Airbnb. In Puerto Rico, found an Airbnb 2 days, extended it 3 more days. Found another place in Puerto Rico 1 day, extended it 4 more days. Found another place in Puerto Rico, in Carolina, I believe it was. Found, like, I ended up staying there like 2, 3 weeks. So things would show up all the time. But when my lane was Airbnb, I took Airbnb. When my lane was sleeping on the beach, I slept on the beach. When my lane was
Wow.
sleeping on the bus, I slept on the buses. When my lane was sleeping on trains, I would sleep on the trains. That means I would get a train ride that was a cute 9 to 12 hours, 17 hours sometimes. And I would just take multiple trains just so I had a place to sleep for the night. Get an
Yeah.
Airbnb in a couple days, shower, and then through the door. And so I embraced, for me personally, every leg of my journey to where now I'm only in Miami in a house because my spirit literally was like, no, go and get one. And I'm like, and I resisted this journey. I was living in a
Mm.
hostel in Chicago for the last year. And then
Oh.
in between Chicago and Miami, I had 2 months in New Orleans. And so where a friend helped me out. Now, quite literally, me accepting this lane of being here in Miami in a house with roommates, such a different vibe where I have a closet now with clothes in the closet and I have
Right?
empty suitcases. It's correct, So I really feel
Absolutely.
like embrace whatever your lane is now, be in it. And like Luna said, be okay having nothing. And that's what I did. I accepted the role of nothing. And so from there, I only began to have stuff because it was given to me. And so when I have nothing again, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And I'll go through whatever that is. But even the journey of having something, okay, and I'll go through whatever that is as well. But just embrace your right now and have fun with it. I personally don't feel, I want to say this before I hand the mic back over. I personally don't feel like we need to be getting together to create something because I think a lot of us do have individual hives and individual lanes that we're on already. And I think we're only trying to get together to recreate what we stepped away from, which
Yeah.
was apartments and houses and shit like that.
Yeah.
I think that we're meant to live an unconventional path that gives, girl, no, you live out your car. And you
Right.
travel to boardwalks all around the world and you do your
Yeah.
services on boardwalks all around the world, girl. Like that's legendary. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it's somebody else, they ride bikes, somebody else, they ride skateboards and they backpack everywhere. But like we make it
I've seen that.
natural. Yes, to be
Appalachian
free.
goddess. She bikes.
Who?
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was just getting excited because another traveler again, she goes by Appalachian Goddess. She's on Instagram and TikTok and she bikes.
Oh,
She
period.
bikes. She's going all around the United States again, like closing her year.
Yeah.
But there were other times when she went to like the border of Mexico,
Yeah.
Canada, like the United States, etc. So yep.
See, because I've been watching also the monks that are taking their walk, their peace walk. I think that a lot of us healers have forgotten who we are in
Well,
the
that's what
sense
I'm
that
asking.
we're like we be like we're getting homeless and then we're breaking down in shambles. And
Getting
we're
out
like, oh my God, where's my apartment? Where's my stuff? And it's like, baby, these monks are taking a walk of peace for
with a satchel and
like
no
you get what's
shoes.
going on. And I think that we lose the plot sometimes and we forget that it's not about the material stuff. You don't have no apartment and shit because you don't need no apartment and nothing right now, baby. You need to be in the lane of freedom. You need to separate yourself from material possessions. You need to separate yourself from being attached to the material possessions, from even being attached to the view of yourself because you have the material possessions. You got to step back into like who you are and loving yourself without the things. And I think that's something that as healers we've forgotten about. And I think that is why a lot of us are on this journey of homelessness, of nomadicism, of free bird, of soul liberated, or whatever people want to call it. I think a lot of us are experiencing these different realities of living unconventionally because we're meant to separate ourselves from this paradigm that says we are something only because of what we have. No, it has
That's
nothing to do with that.
powerful though, yeah. That's powerful to like realize that. That's awakening in itself to see
Hmm.
the value of us or to see the value in the memories, the experience over the material items.
Yeah, because I looked at myself and I said, I'm a shaman. I'm just not in Peru in the middle of the forest. You're just not about to find me in the Amazon. I could go there and have an experience, but I'm not living there. That's not where I kiki. And so, like on a regular basis, that's not my zhuzh. And so I've said, I'm going to still have a shaman's journey. I'm still going to go through a plethora of lessons that are going to awaken my full abilities as if I was living on the motherland. But until that happens, because that's what I'm in alignment with, I'm still in my full power right here as a city girl. And so I let that energy be what I experience still today. The true journey of a shaman while being a city girl. And that is something that's brand new. My grandmama can't teach me about that. Because my grandmama wasn't being a shaman as a city girl. My grandmama was, doing something completely different. My grandmother was in a completely different reality. One grandmother was doing religion, the other grandmother was doing magic, but she was doing it secretly and then playing a Catholic on top of it. Like there was so many things going on, but I'm taking a lane that is completely unique, which is I'm going to go be a shaman in the city, in the thick of
Wow, that's
everything.
different.
So it's like a lot of people take a vow to their practice and they may need to separate themselves from energies because it's chaotic. I learned how to be within the chaos and still be able to do my magic.
Yeah,
I learned my
yeah,
magic through the chaos
through the
and said I
chaos.
was born in this. Because I was born in this, I'm meant to also birth through this and birth in this. So let's be able to swim turbulent waters and see what happens. And so that's what I use my homelessness journey for, my nomadic journey, my liberation journey. That's what I use it for awakening me to being the shaman that's able to be in the midst of the city and the hoopla, and it doesn't take me out. I thrive in the thick of a nightclub. I thrive in Gotham City. I thrive in all those vibrations and in all that thick energy because I learned how to be in it and do spiritual work in it. I learned how to be light in the deepest dark and in the most molasses of energy. So yeah, it's an option. It's an option.
Yeah, I love, I could appreciate your spirit because it's very free flow and it's very firm. I feel like you're
Mm-hmm.
very firm and I feel like you're very like, yeah, this is gonna go this way, or no, I want to do it this way. I know that you said that you mentioned everybody has their own individual pause, doing their own individual thing, unfolding. Do you
Mm-hmm.
ever see yourself like coming together, collaborating with other people to either like travel together, two, maybe get some type of land or property together, or three, is this something that you're just like on an individual thing where it's like, I'm gonna see you if I see you in Puerto Rico, but I'm passing by and I'm going here, right?
Girl, I'm gonna see you when I see you, how I see you, where I see you.
Right.
I
Yeah.
wholly believe that if we're meant to do something together, it will be
Oh,
so easy peasy. Like, bitch, I'm going there, you're going there. I used to have
yeah.
a friend, right? This particular friend that I used to have, shout out to my girl Muse. Me and Muse used to be together all the time. I literally met Muse through the social media space. We connected, we went traveling together, had a ball, did our thing. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Were there hiccups? Absolutely. But of course that's going to happen. But we all grew, learned, and transformed greatly. Was in Puerto Rico. Shout out to my boy Daniel. Met him, vibed with him, kicked it with him, learned with him, transformed and expanded with him so much. Beautiful journey. So I've met with so many different healers throughout my journey. When I was in Chicago, Jacob was a healer I met with. Sam was a healer I met with. Emily was a healer that I co-hosted with and like kikied with, partied, or not partied, like we played together. We would create together. We would transform together. We would co-host things together. And so I definitely do see myself partnering with other people, but it has to be natural. Has to be easy. I don't like things that are hard or difficult. And I am very flase da. I'm very like, let's not make this complicated. If we're hosting the event, can we just get a place, put it on, set it up for free? If people want to donate, they can. There's a lot of people who are focused on money, and I'm not a money girl. I receive money, I get paid, and all those things, but I'm not here to focus on the money aspects. All of that, the girls can talk about it and do what they want to do with each other and then tell me what my cut is afterwards. I
You
really
tell
am
me it's
here for the
free.
work. I'm like,
Yeah,
what is the work? What's the assignment? What are we delivering? What are we giving the people? I don't have time to sit here and have a conversation with you about the funds. Call my agent. I want to have a conversation about the work. What are we delivering? Because the true purpose of this is not what a bitch is getting paid. Because you could pay me $17 billion for the
right.
event. But if I'm going to have $17 billion in a shitty ass world because the energy's not shifting, then I don't fucking give a fuck about the 17 billion. That's not going to do anything for me. We're all in misery. So now I'm rich in this poor ass earth. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck the money part. What's the work part? What's the transformation part? What's the healing part? What are we actually giving? Because that's what my like main focus is. And so I don't necessarily shoot for collaborations too much. The idea of living like on a land with a whole bunch of healers, absolutely not. um I definitely like, it's me and my man. It's definitely giving me and my man. I'm not doing a house of healers. But I do think that it would be really fun for us to open up the avenue to all that is unfolding and all the ideas that are available.
Yeah.
Because I think that there are moments where I want to always be on my own land with my man. But then it gives, babe, I'm taking 2 months and I'm going with my girls to do this one experience
Nice.
in Mumbai, and we're going to give back to the da 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 like this, and we're living on a land where
Nice.
there's a whole bunch of different practitioners, and we all that sounds like fun. But as like a lifestyle, no. As a vacation, as an experience,
Right.
um, Yes, as a means of collective surgery, soul surgery, absolutely. I will be so open for those things. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Good, good. I don't know why all these like the flow of this podcast has been coming because I've just been excited. You've been a part of the collective that I've been witnessing through TikTok specifically, right? That is all individually doing their own thing and having their own personal awakening. But I knew to ask you these things, but it just fit, it makes sense from witnessing you since 2020, 2021, that you would say something like that, like you were on your own place with your own mans, and you know what I mean, 1 or 2 months I'm gonna go, okay, cool. I love the way this going, and we're going up to an hour, but before we close, this is gonna be a big shift from travel and the nomad experience. But I did really appreciate you talking about something with the inner child traumas. I never really heard you talking about it too much, but I did want to start creating that space on my podcast for more testimonies and stories. So when I was younger, I went through child molestation. I was like 5 years old or 7 years old. My stepdad, he like did his thing, with me or whatnot. And after that, I slept with like 7 family members before 15 years old. And I'm barely starting to have the confidence and to open my throat chakra, but to also open my heart space and my root chakra to safely sit in that, to talk about that experience, whether through story type telling or whether through poetry. Can you talk to me a little bit about that experience? Cause I hear
Yeah.
you like confidently saying like we be fucking when we was a little kid, and I was like, oh my god, I want to hear his testimony about it. And you're LGBT, so there's a taboo where people are like, you're gay because you went through RIPE, whatever. That testimony might be so, but now that I've found my confidence in my gay flag, I'm like,
Mm.
no, bitch, I lit coochie, and I'm cool. It's not that.
It's so funny because I used to have conversations with myself about why I was gay. And I would say, am I gay because my dad wasn't around as much as I wanted? And I would like literally ask my honest self. I would ask my God self. I would say, I just want to know the truth. I'm not here to be something specific. I'm here to be me. So what is inside of me? Tell me what it is. And I'm just going to be that, full stop. I don't care. So that was me sitting with myself, asking my spirit these questions over and over. So that way I experience the confidence that I needed to fully move forward and accept these realities. So I said, am I actually gay or am I just confused? No, bitch, you're gay. Okay, great. Now I had to also understand, what does that mean? Same sex partnership, marriage is what I hear. So I'm like, oh, so you mean penis and penis? Yes. Okay, bet. So that clarifies things because in today's day and age, it can be a little confusing. What a man is, what a girl is, what a boy is, what blah, 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 blah. It's all over the place right now. It's
Folks
transforming and it's
switch,
changing. Hmm?
and folks switch too. Like,
They
and they're
do.
like, okay, I'm gay, but then like to a certain person, I'm straight.
Yeah.
I haven't gone through that.
I know that there are a myriad of combinations. And so I just keep it simple for me. And I call a spade a spade. At the end of the day, what we're asking for is what parts are down there? What's in between your legs? That's what we're asking.
Yeah.
And at this point, we might as well just be very blunt about it. I don't really care about like he, she, them, or they. Girl, what's in between those legs? Is it giving what is it? Because that's what we're talking about. Ultimately, that's what the fuck we're talking about. We want to know what's down there. What's down there? And if it sounds very gross, if it sounds very like very what is it, like creepy, if it sounds very like, oh my god, you're such like a pervert, then take out gender as an entirety, because that's what gender is talking about. It's talking about what the fuck is basically in between your legs. Like that's what we're giving at this point. I'm a trans. Oh, you're telling me what type of things possibly, or I'm a male, it's confusing to me. And to me, it's just all about genitalia. And if it's not about genitalia, it's about something that then relates kind of sorta to genitalia. And I'm like, I'm just not with the shits necessarily. So got very passionate here for a second. But anywho, all of that basically to say this journey that I've had when it comes to familial sexual engagements and interactions and activity, for me, I had to face the full facts of my journey. What did I do? What was I a part of? What did I like? What didn't I like? And to me personally, I liked it. Me messing with my cousins, I enjoyed myself. Me messing with my cousins' friends, I enjoyed that too. Me messing with my friends, family friends, I enjoyed that as well. Myself wanted to do it. I never did anything that I didn't want to do. There wasn't anything, and I started at 4. And someone may be like, you didn't know what you were doing. You're very correct. I didn't know, not the whole time, but I was still curious, naturally, and I still chose more of it. Exactly. My physical form was like, yeah, more. I want more. So I even asked myself the question, am I gay because my dad wasn't there? No. Am I gay because I was touched as a baby? No. So I was going to be gay regardless. Yes, it was always a part of your journey. Okay, cool. So I literally just let my inner self throw up. I let my inner self come out. I let my inner self purge out the versions of me that weren't there. So yeah, like when it came down to it, the reason why I talk so confidently about it is because I realize we've all had experiences, we've all had engagements, we've all had interactions, and it's actually way normal than we care to accept that it is. And so I'm just going to live in the truth that it's normal. It happens in majority of these households. So not going to be ashamed. No point.
Yeah. I don't know if there's more inside of me that is meant to speak on the topic, meant to talk about the topic. I know there's a lot of art, there's a lot of creation inside of that, but I feel like it's has become a normal experience that is both normal done in the house and normal silence, especially growing up on the island of Guam, being on the Pacific Islands. It is very humanized and it is very normal. Not only to engage in the activity, but to also like what happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors. I don't know if my like little spirit is feeling your little spirit, and it's like I think we should talk about this a little bit more. But can we close here by like I don't know, do you want to share a testimony on anything in regards to that topic?
You know what? The testimony I would love to share that immediately comes up is when I brought all this forward to my mother, she said to me, shit happens. Go heal and move on. And I was so angry at the time to hear those words, but now I understand that it's true. Just stuff happens, move on. And I say that to myself now, just so deliberately, like it's just like shit happens, move on. Like you didn't like it's shit happens. Take with that what you will, move on, because you get to. Out of all of it, it's like, how long ago was it? Would you do it today? Are you gonna do it right now? No, then girl, move on. Then like let's go. Then let's go, because I'm not judging you, I'm not pressing you. Me too. Been there, done that. We all did it. Let's go. And it's the moment that you recognize I really believed it was happening way less than it happened. I thought I was an oddball because I thought that I really went through something tragic. And it was like, no. Yes, we were all going, it was literally a part of development.
Yes. You weren't the only one.
Yeah. Like it was, I know we said it wasn't normal, but it was normal.
Yeah. So I feel like what's going on right now is you're shamaning me. And when I said like my little me, your little me, because I'm a woman though, I feel like the energy is like, I feel confident and safe to open up like like sit in front of you as if I was giving birth, and I
Yeah.
would feel safe to be in that position. So I feel
Yeah.
like as a shaman, I like to say Sha woman when I say, because I'm learning I'm a shaman as well, and I'm learning what that all means. And to me, that has a lot to do with testimony, the gift of gab, traveling through different timelines in that type of energy, sitting down with folk. But I feel with you as a male, I feel safe to say that. So maybe we both, I don't know if maybe you, because I know you're saying like your mom said, will you do that again? Will that happen again? Move on. But I feel there's something still birthing there, something still sitting there, maybe with poetry, maybe with a book. I know that it's something that I've been wondering as well myself. Like, I question my sexuality. I didn't really question my sexuality when I was younger. It was when I came to my early 20s, and I would start questioning, am I LGBT because I was touched? Am I LGBT because I'm scared of, dating dudes? But I'm not even scared of dating dudes. It takes like a special dude. It takes like a very particular male species to like, you know what I mean, get my attention. But I guess what I'm saying to close here is I'm feeling safer because for my experience, my testimony was very quiet. It was very hush. I like to say in my art and in my poetry that I taught to silence. I was taught to be silent, and then as I grew up, I taught myself to be silenced as well.
Yeah.
So talking about this more, I feel like my gut area here, but as you were speaking, I can feel like my gut and my legs like slowly feeling comfortable to be open. So
Yeah.
that's just telling me that I can feel you, and that we're like, I'm affirming through the questions with you that there's like something there. Because
Yeah.
what I was hearing when you were speaking in regards to your mom and your relationship is that you're the generational chain breaker of silence and shame in
Mhm.
regards to experiences that happen not only in your bloodline and in your family, but also in your race, in your culture, in your
Mhm.
tongue. Because it's not just only, Mrs. Honeybee for your family and your bloodline, but it's also Bernard. And so, excuse me in advance, but there was one time I felt so confident to call you that. You were on live once, and I was like, bitch, that's wrong. You would not say that in person. Because, you want to respect people's names or people's pronouns and stuff. But I'm like, no. And I figured it out. Your inner child was like, that's Bernard. Or like my inner child was like, and I was like, I felt confident to say that. So I just wanted to say it, but also apologize in advance.
I love Bernard so much.
Look, as we're talking about our tongues and creed, there's somebody that says black people are criminals that came into the house, into the room. How the fuck? Okay, universe, we're done. No,
We
we're all
did say that
criminal
we were
at this
going to end the
point.
live, so it makes sense that that would happen in this moment when we already
Yes,
said, "Oh, let's get ready to end it." It's like, "Oh, the energy shifting. Oh, it's time to go."
right. So thank you for coming on today.
It was honestly a pleasure. I
I
do recommend.
go ahead.
um, Thank you for inviting me to be on live with you today. I definitely do recommend taking that leap of faith in the direction of sharing more about your experiences. I found it to be very liberating. I wrote a book in 2021 called Honey in the Blood Moon, and it talked about my experiences, and it helped me with a lot of shadow work. And I give it to a lot of my clients and students and stuff and share it with people. It's on Amazon as well for people to purchase, talking about that experience of money, being free, being nomadic, traveling the world, and also figuring out my sexuality, trying to figure out what I want to be called and things and where that stuff comes from. And then I also have a podcast, I Got Time podcast. And I think episode 3 of season 1 talks a lot about sexual relations with family and my mom's opinion and how I moved through that and stuff of that sort. So yeah, I definitely do recommend talking more about it and just getting it out of your body, realizing that it's not as taboo as we make it.
We make it. Yeah. And I also feel like there's a lot of there's a lot of people who are really destined to talk about this topic, because some people are ashamed or some people are not ready to get there. But I am grateful to the universe and our ancestors, our inner child, and our highest self that's like there, our God self, for talking about these experiences, for talking about these taboos. It's really a big thing for me to say that I can sit in front of you and feel comfortable to, you know, like face you and have my wounds face you, especially as a male. You know what I mean? So that's really super awesome. And I want to talk about it more, because I think with me, what it is with me is I did it. And I didn't necessarily have the thought of enjoyment in my mind, but I made the choice to do it. Now that I'm getting older and I'm breaking it down, not only within myself, but with other people, like soundboard of other voices, it really changed how I did the activity. And then that sitting in that silence, I'm sitting in that darkness. So I feel like I have some light to share on.
Mm. The services. Choo, 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 choo. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Signal?
The
We're
signal
good.
was
We're
cutting
back.
out. Yeah. I didn't hear everything you said, but it felt like you said there was possibly like some light that I could shed on the situation of being. I couldn't hear all the way, girl.
Yeah, you're good. You felt it. I was talking about shining light on the experience of incest, of sleeping with family members, of how do our family feels, of being that chain breaker, of being that silence breaker, etc. And then I was gonna say I was gonna do more research in your book and your podcast, because that's something I'm doing as well. Maybe in the future we can do a seminar, we can do like a workshop or another podcast in regards to specifics if it feels aligned.
Let's plan another live and we just have another conversation and we dive deeper into this topic.
Okay, I'm gonna close it out. The signal keeps on jumping out. Do you want to promote anything before we close? I am gonna repost this, and I want to make sure that we get your stuff.
No, I feel at peace. I want to say thank you.
Yay, good. Thank you so much. When I was reading your emails, I was like, oh my god, she is the embodiment of peace with that. I was like, okay, let's go.
It would cut out. It cut out again.
I appreciate.
I will see you, girl. Thank you for this.
Appreciate your time. Let's
Bye-bye.
let's make another. Let's do another.
Send me an email. I'm gonna send you an email
We'll do
because it's chopping out, and we know what that means. Spirit said, "Wrap it up, y'all." Okay, let's see. Boom.
We got this. Anyway, that was an episode with it. This is going to be a bias. I was very excited. I want to do more episodes. I want to do more. Get back. Maybe some of the other